So there is something very interesting about this Pokemon market right now. It seems like everybody has forgotten about Sword and Shield era booster boxes. All people care about is Scarlet and Violet era stuff. Now, I wanted to bring this up because it goes to show something about the demand in this whole space right now, in that it's a lot of new demand. It's a lot of hype demand, you could say, because the prices we are seeing with these Sword and Shield era booster boxes, when you look at some of the prices of these products and you compare it to Scarlet and Violet, a lot of these Sword and Shield boxes are still attractive, yet they're not really doing much. A lot of these boxes, the sales aren't high at all. Prices really haven't moved in the past few months. It's very strange, but like I said, it goes to show something. Right now, this space, it's a lot of new demand, a lot of new people that just want the new stuff. And I honestly thought a good portion of this market was like people from 2021 in that boom that have come back, and maybe that is a thing. But if that was the case, I really at this point would have expected a lot of these Sword and Shield era boxes to have moved up at this point. We did see that surge in price late last year for a lot of these Sword and Shield era booster boxes. Some of them jumped from 200 to like 400, like Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, Lost Origin did. But after that, things cooled off a bit, which was expected, but still, a lot of these boxes really haven't been doing much. And it's surprising because I really would have thought that with this strong market, at this point, we would see more moves with Sword and Shield. But we're really not. And it goes to show that right now, this whole market in space is focused on the new stuff, Scarlet and Violet. Now, long term, Sword and Shield boxes, they will obviously continue to go up, but at least in the past few months, I'm very shocked that these prices really haven't been moving at all. And honestly, sales are kind of low in my opinion. I really would believe that, some of the prices we are seeing for Scarlet and Violet era boxes, and you compare it to Sword and Shield, and you would think that some of these prices we're seeing for Sword and Shield boxes, they're so good. Like, why is nobody, buying them? Why is it such a small amount comparatively to Scarlet and Violet era boxes? It's because Sword and Shield is not what's hot. And honestly, if you're an investor and you're actually in this for the long term, and if you're new, obviously this means it's a good time to buy Sword and Shield era booster boxes because the market, it's not hot. Things are selling, but prices aren't going up at all. They've been very stagnant for the past 3 months. And during this sort of time period would probably be a good idea to buy because having that huge surge in price and prices decreasing, buying on that dip was a good idea. But if you didn't buy on that dip, maybe you weren't there for it. Buying when things are stagnant right now for months, I think is a good idea because I can't think, especially where it looks like where this market is going, where if Sword and Shield boxes have been stagnant for this long, I feel like there's going to be a point where that starts to change. And I would say that right now, if you're looking to buy any sort of booster box and you don't want to buy the new stuff because of reprints or whatever, there may be with buying new sets with, those sorts of things with reprints, Sword and Shield's still very attractive, but it's not what's hot because it's not what's really being talked about. If you go to any investing channel, I don't think people even talk about Sword and Shield anymore because it's just not in print. It's not in the news. It's not what's getting scalped. It's not what's getting, just botted online. It just really isn't that popular. So I just wanted to bring up this topic just to show you guys some of these prices and the stagnation we're seeing with these Sword and Shield era booster boxes. And honestly, in the past few months, I have sold some of my Sword and Shield booster boxes because of the stagnation in the market. I've made pretty good profits on some of them, and I've obviously used those profits and those gains into the newer products. And I've sort of been, taking profits, turning it, buying some new products, and kind of, for some of those, I've also sold. So I've been sort of, you could say, churning and burning a little bit, selling off some of my older investment, my Sword and Shield stuff, and getting into some of the new stuff, and sort of doing that sort of thing. But I think right now, for Sword and Shield though, buying if you don't have any Sword and Shield would be a good idea. But I've just sold because prices, and I don't really see the Sword and Shield market, honestly, at least in the very near future, really going up a ton. So that's the reasoning, I guess, for me selling some of my product off. Now, I do keep track, and this is sort of how I get a gauge of how the market is. Whenever I sell to any store, I always keep track of their sales and how fast they're selling the product that I'm selling them. Like I always do that. And I've recently sold some Sword and Shield booster boxes to the store, and honestly, sales aren't that great. They are selling, but in very slow amounts when you compare it to Scarlet and Violet product, because I'm looking at other products they have on their website. I'm seeing the quantities, and I'm seeing what I'm selling them with Sword and Shield. It's not selling as well, but they are selling, but just very slowly. So the market is definitely a lot cooler with Sword and Shield, and it's just sort of interesting because, like I said, the prices of some of these, they're so good comparatively to some of the newer sets. It's like no one's it's very strange, but like I said, it's a lot of new demand, and it's a lot of sort of hype right now with Scarlet and Violet, and why Sword and Shield really right now is not gaining any attention. It's sort of just not what's popular. So Chilling Reign here, you can see right now, for the past 3 months, look at this chart. It's pretty bad. You can see here, like it had its huge run up. Like this was during the time where everything was skyrocketing. It was crazy. But you can see the past 3 months though. I mean, it's done nothing, right? It's gone up and then it went down. So, Chilling Reign is very strange. It seemingly was a super good set like during this time where it went up, but in the past 3 months it's still down from whenever I guess it started dropping when there was pullback after the huge price run up. It really hasn't gone back up. Very surprising because Chilling Reign is a pretty good set, and there's a lot of expensive cards in the set, but yet if you look at sales volume, it's pretty low. And yeah, it's surprising that Chilling Reign honestly hasn't gone back up, and you can still find it in the low 300s. Now, even Evolving Skies, it being a generational set, it's been stagnant too. Look at the past 3 months. Obviously, a box this expensive, you can't expect it to just skyrocket it to 2,000 to 3,000. Like obviously, that would be insane. So seeing it stagnate for the past few months at this price point, it's not crazy, especially with its price point. But still, it does show, just you'll see here with all these Sword and Shield booster boxes, they really haven't been moving. I mean, they've all just kind of stayed the same price. As you can see here, was even the best set of Sword and Shield, it's been stagnant. Now next here, Fusion Strike. This one did actually, pretty much go back to what it was before. It's still a little bit behind, but as you can see here, when prices did, I guess this graph's a little bit messed up, but when prices did rise up, for these, they did dip here, but as you can see here, they have gone up, and they did almost retrace back to what they were before, since it's dropped, but still a little bit under because at one point Fusion Strike boxes were above $500. But as you can see right now, lowest listed is $475, and you look at sales data. I mean, all these boxes, they sell like 1 to 2 a day. Nothing crazy, but yeah, Fusion Strike did see a little bit of a rebound, but still is a little bit under what it used to be. Now, Brilliant Stars, this is the most confusing one to me. It's been the same price seemingly forever. Like, it's been $300 for like the longest time. It's been super stable, I guess, also with some other Sword and Shield boxes like Evolving Skies. It really hasn't gone up or down since it's run up. Like, it ran up, and it kind of just stayed the same price. Like, it's not like Fusion or Chilling where it saw pretty big decreases. Like, this box just has stayed the same. If you look at sales, you can see it's pretty inconsistent. Like some days it doesn't sell at all. Some days a few sell. This day 6 sold. But yeah, still $300 for Brilliant Stars. Honestly, I thought this would be a little bit higher at this point. But the cards in here, there's not a ton of super expensive cards. It does have the EVs, which did go up a lot in price because of Prismatic. But still, I guess that was enough to do crazy numbers for the set because it's still $300. Now, Astral Radiance is still at around 270s. It ran up, in the past few months here. So this box actually has been going up, along with I think Silver Tempest, which we'll see here shortly. As you can see, it has been going up in the past 3 months because it was a lot cheaper than those other boxes I've shown you. But the past month, you can see sales volume is very, very low and pretty inconsistent with this set. And here we have Lost Origin. Same thing with Fusion. It pretty much did rebound back to what it was before. As you can see here, this is when it ran up. It had its run up here. It went to $400, and then you can see it dipped, and it has gone back up to what it was previously. If you look at sales volume for the set, same thing with all the other ones. Pretty low, 1 to 2 boxes sell. Sometimes they don't sell, but it is back to 400. But still, Lost Origin at 400 to me still seems like it has a good amount of room to grow. But if you look at sales and what's going on, it's still not like a really hot market right now for even Lost Origin, even though I think 400 is pretty cheap, but or just comparatively. But yeah, it's $400. It's pretty much retraced back to what it was before. Now, Silver Tempest is pretty similar, as you can see here, to Astral because they were both basically the same price, and they've gone up pretty consistently. But if you look at sales volume, I mean, Silver Tempest has been a little bit more consistent than the other ones. Like they have been selling a little bit more than the previous boxes, but still not a ton are being sold. But still, I mean, 3 to 4 boxes being sold comparative to the other boxes is a good amount. But yeah, just to I guess summarize what I'm trying to get at here, even with the strength of this market, right, in this mass amount of demand, it is surprising that for the past few months, all these Sword and Shield boxes really haven't been doing much. Like the only boxes that I've shown you here, like Silver Tempest, Astral, those ones have gone up, but those were just super cheap a few months ago, which is why I think we've seen steady growth. But like boxes like Lost Origin, Fusion, Evolving, Chilling, I'm very surprised those ones have not gone back up. And I mean, I guess some of them have retraced, but I'm surprised they haven't gone even higher. And I'm very surprised that the sales volume for a lot of these boxes are pretty low. But it just goes to show how much demand really means in this whole hobby. Even though these products are out of print, right? They're not risky to buy because I mean, there's not going to get any more like products. So you're just gonna be pretty safe in that respect, right? Because there's not going to be any more printed. So if you buy it, I mean, unless demand just completely falls off, most likely the prices will be stable, or they'll probably go up. You would think at this point these would see some moves, but they're not. So I don't know when the next run up is going to be with Sword and Shield because I think it would. I think it will happen at some point. I mean, they've been stagnant for like 3 months. I think it's going to happen. But when is it going to happen is, I guess, what I'm trying to get at here is like it's been a while, and I've at this point I've really expected, especially some of these other like more expensive boxes and more sought after boxes like Fusion and Lost Origin. I would have expected by now for the market to have started ramping up, but it hasn't. So very interesting stuff. This market's super strong, but mainly with Scarlet and Violet era stuff, not so much with Sword and Shield. So that's what I want to talk about today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.